Hello, Julia. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we've had a few conversations over the last week or so, and we thought it'd be good to catch up and actually record, especially in the context of a lot of what we spoke about in regards to, I guess, the noise that's out there in business and social media and how they overlay with each other. And I had a bit of a meltdown last week around a few things that were happening or that I was perceiving was going on, perceiving it to affect me. And you helped to give me more of an objective perspective on it. So thank you for that. Perhaps if you can tell the audience a bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Julia. I'll keep it short.
We got all the time in the world.
It's a long story, but I'm Julia. Sure. This is who I am. You're getting this a small glimpse of me today. But at this point in time in my life, I am running an online business. It's called Soul Centered Sales, and I love supporting any conscious entrepreneur navigate being seen, being visible for sharing their gifts, and having the confidence to actually enjoy sales conversations and be able to just function and be abundant in this beautiful world. And that's where I'm at now, but that's just a small part of a big picture.
It is, I'm sure, yeah. But, it fits in a lot of with the sales aspect, especially it fits in around a lot of what you and I have been talking about, and a great topic of discussion on the social medias over the last couple of weeks is the Fire Festival and the documentary that's come out surrounding the events of that, and how sales and marketing is used in the quote New Age movement, especially is an interesting thing. I mean, not that the Fire Festival would regard itself as being part of the New Age movement, but it was certainly using a lot of elements of at the forefront of social media, like influencers and fake accounts and all this sort of thing. And there's certainly, I'm sure, as you know, there certainly is a derision there between the spiritual New Age community and promoting oneself, like promoting and marketing oneself, because it's seen as being like a taboo subject, and it has been for many years. So it's really interesting, the field that you work in, and helping people to bridge that gap and really understand that it is an important aspect of what they're wanting to do and what they're wanting to achieve. And it doesn't have to be a taboo, that it is an important part of who they are.
Oh, yeah. It really, like, for me, the beauty of social media and bridging that gap is that you can have the influence and share the message that you want to share. So having like an end game about, well, what is it? Why am I really here? Is it to get followers? Is it to be popular? Is it to sell lots of programs? No. It's so when you speak, people listen. So if you have a message to share that's about, deforestation or cleaning up our oceans or child trafficking or something that you feel is going to help our world, that you have the platform. And holding on to that end game. So whatever that end game is for you, whatever that looks like. And that's what I really like to help focus people's attention rather than getting caught up in the noise of what we think is important, the short-term gratification.
Sure. And what do you feel draws people to that short-term gratification in the first place, rather than the long game, as I've been thinking about a lot lately?
I mean, that's an awesome question. I'm just going to say, straight up, let's look at life before a mobile phone. We look out, I can see the mountains, and then we bring in a mobile phone, and what happens to our vision? It's like we're shortening our vision. And the way technology is presented to us today is that we don't wait a whole week for our favorite TV program to come on. We're like, I'm going to watch this now. The instant gratification is actually the world that we live in. So it's no surprise it's being geared that way. And I was watching this really amazing video by Prince EA, that incredible poet, just earlier, like maybe an hour before you jumped on. Like, I can see why I saw that. And it was about Instagram, and it's about looking good. And he was like, why do they call it Instagram? It's like instant Instagram. And why is it called a Facebook feed? Because it feeds you. It feeds your self-approval and whatever, whatever wound that the media can grab onto, and whatever missing gap is in people's lives is that's what's filled through any sort of technology or, any product or program or app they're trying to sell. Is it's like, oh, wow, we can play with this. We can make money out of this. And it kind of ends up this fight for approval and this fight for popularity, and also creating identities that are not really who we are, essentially.
Sure. A second life scenario.
Yeah, it is. It's like, this is my secret life. This is the picture perfect image of me. And then there's my other version, but I won't post when I'm feeling that way because I don't want people to see that.
Yeah. So a lot of it's driven by insecurity, I guess, like first up, or some sort of like trauma or, some sort of insecurity that drives this need for, or lack even, that drives this need for to be seen or to be heard. And I think what we've seen since the advent of social media up until now, and it feels like it's even getting stronger, is that lack and that scarcity is like the motivating fuel that really pushes people to want to put themselves out there a lot and to be seen by any means necessary, even if it means, doing things that are less, not very authentic, or again, like the topic of discussion you and I had is around like buying followers and things like that, rather than coming at it from a sense of authenticity and substance. And I'm reminded of that quote that what's that British philosopher? He's dead now, Walter something or another. But I'm paraphrasing, but like one of the troubles of the world is that those who are so sure of themselves will progress, but those I can't think. How does it go? Like something about those who are sure about themselves aren't willing to put themselves out there, but those who are so full of BS are. Like, I'm totally paraphrasing.
Okay, I get it. I call it a stupid amount of confidence.
Yeah.
When I used to teach sales, so I used to run a sales company and I used to teach sales reps every morning. And I always found that the people that were just so blinded by confidence, that really weren't aware of what they were doing, could make sales a lot easier than people who thought about it too much and almost had too much of a conscience around the whole exchange, So, stupid amount of confidence.
You very succinctly put across what I was so stupidly trying to say. But, and that relates to social media now, right? So, I think what we're seeing is that is more of a slant towards those who are coming at it from a space of lack rather than a space of abundance, really pushing themselves forward. And that's the message that's getting heard. I don't know, if that's hard and fast true. I know there are those out there, like you said, like Prince EA. Is that how you pronounce it?
EA, I don't even know. Yeah, I think it's Prince EA.
Yeah. And those who are living in authenticity, that certainly are, they're doing really well, and they're showing up, they're being consistent, they're doing their thing and really affecting people positively. But there's a lot of also scammers out there as well that promoting themselves and promoting this second life that they have. People are seeing that, wanting to be a part of that, and paying thousands of dollars to, like you said very eloquently last week, sort of jump on the spot up and down, and not really much is gained from it.
Yeah, that term came from one of my friends who paid thousands of dollars to literally jump up and down. And there are a lot of these courses out there, and they have exceptional marketing tactics. Exceptional.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people have been to marketing, classes or schools, or they may even study it as a degree.
Yeah.
Or they've just learned, they've just self-taught. And, they're sold this dream too. They're sold a bit of a pipe dream. Hey, if you can get 10 people paying $2,000 each and run this mentorship for 6 months, then, you can live a location independent lifestyle. And then they get sold this dream and they're like, yeah, I can do that. And then they create this incredible, beautiful looking course that like is really lacking a lot of substance, a lot of value, and doesn't really give people what they're after.
Yeah.
Having said that, there are tons of incredible, beautiful run courses out there as well. The real deal. So there's a lot of both happening and polar opposites and a lot of in between.
Yeah.
And it's about like kind of navigating through that whole arena. People that are new to personal development, or they're just thinking for the very first time, I'm going to get out of my job, I want a location independent lifestyle. They're almost like fresh meat to everybody. And it's like, oh, wow, like what's going to happen? I remember this very same friend I was talking to that talked about the jump up and down course, got a message from someone that wanted to potentially work with him. And the message was, oh, I don't want to work with you now. You see, I've signed up for this mentorship, this coaching course. It was so amazing. Like they made me apply. I had to apply, and you're not going to believe it. I got in. And we're like, forward snap. Yeah. And, you know, I could do that if I wanted to. I could make people apply. And I have had application forms in the past, but I've even said, this isn't an application form to check that, you know, to put in some sort of scarcity or fear that you want this course more. I'm just checking that you're a good match so I don't sell you the wrong thing.
Right.
It's like purely for that reason. Like I want people to be an absolute match for my work. And what I kind of work with clients, like soul-centered sales, is really about getting such a beautiful, strong foundation about who you are and what your message is and how you turn up in the online world. So you're not attracting all these people that want to work with you that may or may not benefit. You're only attracting the people who are right, perfect, ready, who are ready to get results. So it's not a numbers game, it's a quality game.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's a very important point, isn't it?
Yeah, you see the difference.
The numbers rather than the quality. And that's the sort of the world we live into at the moment. It's about having, more friends, more followers, more of this, but the quality aspect of it is something that is unfortunately left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a really a huge group of people out there that, like I said, have great marketing skills. And there's also people that have great sales pages and great sales skills. And they could sell their course to anyone. But that doesn't necessarily make it a great experience for them either, because they have all these people working with them that aren't getting results, that are upset, that are disappointed, that are taking up way too much time and energy. And it's actually not a good experience for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So wouldn't it be great to have like a Yelp or something for coaching, something like that, where we could upvote and downvote people? But there is nothing really like that. So people like go into it quite blindly. And that's the other thing. I was talking to a friend of mine about this recently, like how especially in the new, I'll use the words or the term new age just because for lack of it, but understand the viewer as well understands what I mean by that. Is it like a sense of, or another taboo is judgment. So like that if you're questioning someone who's in this field who isn't operating by the most authentic means or from their truth, and you question it, you're seen as being judgmental. Yeah, if it's like a con man who's ripping off an old lady to redo the gutters on her house when she hasn't been doing it, which goes on, has been going on for decades. That's not question. That's like being seen as you're doing a good deed. But if you question someone in the New Age movement for operating in a not so ethical manner, then you're being like, I prefer the word discernment, that you're actually discerning, who's good and who's not. But there's topics come around about, well, this is this person's path in life, and they need this lesson and all that sort of stuff. And I get that to an extent. You need to understand the bad to really appreciate the good. But that people should be brought into question, and there's like a fear around it. I feel from a couple of experiences that friends have had who have paid thousands of dollars for their courses, and then like your friend, not really being given much in return.
Yeah, and it probably goes also from the new age into the area of personal development. It's actually quite a big industry and these all
overlap. Big crossover. Yeah.
It's a big crossover, yeah. So it's quite a huge scope. And what I usually find is in these types of industries, like when people are deep into inner work or they're deep into personal development, they have really good skills around getting past people's barriers and obstacles and helping them get past that. So if someone has an issue like, I don't want to do your course, I don't think it's going to work with my lifestyle, I don't think I'm ready for it, or I don't have the money for it, it's really easy to turn that around through, all the processes that we learn ourselves, especially like things like neuro-linguistic programming, like NLP. So they actually are highly skilled at turning a whole situation around and getting someone into this space where they can get past that obstacle. And, in a lot of ways, that's so powerful and that is so beautiful. And to be the first person to not enable someone's ongoing life story, that's great. But it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you've helped someone through that obstacle that now that means they directly need to buy your course right now.
Sure.
And they play like the sales hat mixed with that hat, and they don't realize they're two different hats. And really that sort of conversation should leave someone so empowered, where what I would like to teach is an empowered yes or an empowered no. They're not disempowered in any way. They're empowered to say yes or no.
Yeah. Sure. Right. Yeah. And it's important, to continue from that if they are able to help that person overcome that barrier and really want to, or motivate them to move forward and to make a change in their life and study this thing or work on this thing, that they actually then show up and help them with it. Because that's what has happened with a couple of my friends now. There was a barrier around wanting to do a certain program or a course. They overcome it, they paid the money. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it happened. But then the two individual people, just never showed up. There was never any of the content delivered that was promised in the sales and marketing to it. And I'm not saying obviously that doesn't go on a lot or all the time, but enough that it's like it's an issue, like especially around the personal development. Yeah.
It's definitely an issue. And it really, it sucks. But honestly, it really sucks for all of those genuine people out there who get kind of boxed and categorized in the same place as these other types of courses coming through. Because there is some incredible work being shared around the world right now. But it can easily get lost in that noise. And really, it's the shark, like the best kind of sales sharky sort of person or the best marketing usually wins.
That's right. Yeah.
And for me, let's say someone's a solo entrepreneur and they've promised this incredible course and their marketing is on point. Like you just you just click through the pages like I want. And then I sit there sometimes and I think, if they're so good at marketing, how can they be so good at this area that they're selling me? Unless it's marketing, like how can you have such incredible skills in both areas? Where are you spending your time? Because if 90% of your time is going into marketing and 10% is going into delivering, well, that's not a very good buy-in for me. I want 90% in the deliverance and 10% in marketing. That's what I'm looking for. And sometimes I will work with people, even if they have terrible marketing, because I know who they are. I'm like, well, I see you. I get that you're the right person in this time. I don't need to know that you have thousands of followers. I know who you are and I know you can deliver. I don't care about your marketing. I don't care. Yeah. And that's actually a better judge of character for me and how that's going to help and support my business. Something that I just came through for me that I wanted to share is, how I was saying before about, all these people that are setting up these courses, and maybe that doesn't come from the most pure place. They, like I said, they have been sold a pipe dream about, you can just do this, and this, and that whole quick cash, like you can earn money. And I'm just going to say for the record right now, if you want to ignite your soul business, you want to do it organically and attract the right people, it's not going to happen in 3 months. It's going to take 3 years. So just disclaimer, do you want to jump on? But the thing is, I feel like there's a lot of this happening because there is so much, ups, like there's a lot of like frustration and almost resentment about working 9 to 5 jobs. And also there's a lot of jobs that there's just not high job satisfaction. And everyone now seems to have a side business like side oils, or, they're doing Airbnb, and they're trying to make extra cash, and they've got an online clothing business, and they're trying to work their way out of like dissatisfaction into something that they're a little bit more interested in.
Sure.
And they're looking for that lifestyle. And I actually feel like it has created this wave of people just trying to get in on the hustle and not go to work. And that's kind of what's happened. So it's a flow-on effect.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Yeah. But certainly there are those, and I know of them too. And I like to feel that I'm one as well. Like, I work full time and I love my job. It's great. But also, I do the podcast, I do the T-shirts and that sort of thing, because it's, like we spoke about last week, it's almost like I'm not in control anymore. Like, it's something that's coming through me that needs to be put out there into the universe. It's like it's a reciprocation from what I've been given, and it's a reciprocation to absolute gifts that I've been given. So it feels like a happy responsibility, I like to call it. It's this happy responsibility to then put myself out there and put my creative abilities out there. And I love being surrounded by people like that as well, that they're doing it because there's this fulfillment within them there's this abundance within them that is driving them to do so. So it is possible to even if your job sucks, if you're hating your job, I think it is possible to turn that around. Like, their days are gone of like giving up your job, quitting, and then starting a business up as an entrepreneur. Like, you don't need to do that these days. Ever since the internet came along, it's now a lot easier to do, like you said, to still work or go to part-time and really concentrate on your side hustle. And we're blessed to be in that position. But a question I have, Julie, is it's a two-part question, I guess. It's up to you how you want to answer this, but how can people, how are people who are searching for something or wanting to put something out there but not sure how to go about it? How can they find the right people? And then the second part is vice versa. Those who are wanting to help others, how can they come at it from a place that they're going to attract the right people as well?
Yeah, great question. Can I just start by reflecting on that? It was so beautiful what you shared about your podcast and designing the T-shirts, like the beautiful geometries that you're sending out into the world. That feeling in you where you're like, I have no choice. I just have to express this side of me. That is like kind of for me like the first sign of a soul business. And you absolutely, I highly recommend you do keep your job at least for a while if you're planning on leaving for good. Like, I worked part-time for almost a year. And I just feel it took all the pressure off me having to sell, and it just allowed me to just let it organically kind of flower.
Sure.
So in terms of like finding the right people, well, for someone, I feel like that's at the very beginning stages, and let's say they're working full time and they have a bit of extra cash, I think it's great to actually invest that money into programs or coaching, private coaching or something, because they actually have the funds to do it, and it's going to save a lot of time down the track. But I think that you have to be ready, and you need to know exactly what it is that you want to share. If you're still, I maybe want to do this, I maybe want to do that, just kind of go back to the drawing board and, hang in there, because when you want to hire someone, you want to be like ready to go. Sure. And really like get your time and money's value out of it. And if you don't have all this money for business coaching, just for programs and things like that, I actually think the best thing that you can do is just keep an eye out for the people that you absolutely love and admire. And you look at them and you're like, wow, they're about 3 to 5 years ahead of where I am. And they're really like, when they share, it feels like they're speaking on my behalf, and I'm connecting and I'm resonating with them. And you can watch what they do and actually learn how to run a business just by paying attention.
Yeah, definitely. And
How they,
also, an option is too, if like just catch up for a coffee or
yeah,
just like go and have a chat with. I did that with a guy I've been following for a couple of years and been loving how he'd been going about it. And yeah, we had a great catch up and it really helped a lot. And all it cost me was the price of a cappuccino. So yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And some people, like in my position now, I certainly wouldn't go just give free advice to everybody. I wouldn't have time to run my business. But I've given heaps of advice out to people for free. I want to help you. That is my soul expressing itself. I don't need to attach money to it every time.
yeah,
And I've got a lot of friends who I've never charged anything, and I'll help them as much as I possibly can. Um, so yeah, you actually don't need to find people to invest in if that is not an option for you. And in terms of finding the right person, it's just what I shared. It really is about looking ahead into the future of someone maybe 3 or 5 years ahead that is exactly on the path that you want to be on, but is not so far removed from you that A, they don't remember what it feels like, or B, they're kind of too good to deal with that level and they charge you way too much money and don't give you one-on-one time, even though you pay thousands of dollars. You want someone who is in the game, in the arena, the same arena that you're playing in.
yeah,
And if you want to speak on stages, maybe you look at someone who is speaking on stages that, you know, has a room of 20 people and does it maybe 3 times a year. I wouldn't necessarily go and sought advice from Tony Robbins, who speaks on stages all the time. And it's a totally different world. Like, that's just me personally.
yeah.
I would look at someone who's right in there with you right now in the same arena. And for anyone that is in business and they want to attract the right type of people, it is so simple. It's just a role reversal. So when soul-centered sales came through for me, by the way, I wasn't impressed. I did not want to go back to teaching sales. But my niche was handed to me on a silver platter. It was just universal sign after universal sign. I thought I was going to run a meditation and past life regression business. So I thought I was going to be a relationship coach and healthy boundaries. Nope, none of that happened. So glad I didn't, because I'm single now. and whew. And then like all these things happen where I was like, you've worked in sales. How about you help me with this? How about you help me with this? And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And then this really incredible experience happened, and soul-centered sales was born through me. And the moment I sat down earlier this year and went, who do I need to attract? I just went, what was I feeling 2 to 3 years ago? Where was I at? What was I frustrated with? You know, what words did I use? What did I think I wanted? What did I actually need, you know, instead of what I think I wanted? And you know, who was I, and where did I invest my time and energy, and where did I go for fun? And I really just reversed who I was. And my dream client is me. It's just me. And it's so easy to relate to me. And I know what language I used. And, you know, and then doing a lot of market testing and checking, you know, because that's just one personal experience, but about other people's experiences. And really aiming at those people and speaking their language, I find is really important. It's not that complicated. It's just like linear, like just playing with linear time, which
Yeah, sure, definitely. That's a very good point you make about, like, rather than trying to be too broad in your message or what you're helping with and appeasing everybody, just focus on what you needed. I love it. What you needed 3, 4, 5 years ago when you were first at that point. When you were at the point where you're wanting to help people now, so someone who is feeling a little bit disjointed with life, or like something's not quite right, there's a bit of an existential crisis going on perhaps, and there's been at the back of their mind for a while that, hang on, something's not quite right here, or they don't know what it is. Yeah, we've all been through that. And there's this uplifting of people in the world now who've been through that and have learned and come through that over those last few years, but there's still more and more to come. And yeah, like you said, just focus on what it was back then. What things did you read? What things did you listen to? What conversations were you having with both others and yourself that really flipped that switch? And that's the content to create. And it may mean that you'll only resonate with, 5% or 10% of your potential audience.
Yeah.
but they're the real audience.
They're your real deal.
Yeah.
And every letter, like love letter, which is your post or, your email or your Facebook Live or however you show up, is like a love letter to you. You're talking to you. It's so easy to just say, hey, what pep talk did I want to give myself back then?
Yeah.
What would have really helped me? And when I'm coming from that place and I'm thinking of that version of myself, I'm not really worried about how it lands. I'm just sharing from me.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is just that natural sharing, just expressing how you're feeling rather than trying to share and shape and filter your message to meet your dream clients. Like for any normal business, you might have, a need that you're trying to fill in the market. And you're like, well, these are these people that buy these things. We've got to market to these people. And that's fine. But for a soul business, you're not filling some need. You are just expressing what your natural gifts and what it is you're here to do. So coming from the place of, I've got to create this, ideal, perfect client and who are they and how do I get into their heads? It's like, no, it's you. It's like you don't need to do any of that. It's really just turn back time, jump in your little time traveling device and go back and go, what message do I really need to hear? Because you're really just taking people on your journey.
Definitely.
And sharing all of you, your light, your darkness, the parts that you're scared to show, all your values, the things that you're interested in, and you show that and demonstrate that. All you end up doing is attracting all these people that have the same values that really, they believe in the same things. Like I'm a nature lover. So half of my Facebook Lives will be in nature because I want people who love nature plain. I want people who value that as well. And then, as your soul business changes, because it will, it's proven, mine did, and it will plenty of times because you're growing, you're expanding, your personal transformation is the forefront leading your business, and you will change. So instead of attracting your niche, like old marketing terminology, you attract your tribe, the people who follow you wherever you go. So your business changes, they're right there with you because they love you. They're like you, they're your brothers, they're your sisters, they're your soul family. You're like, oh, you're going over here now. Like one of my awesome clients, she used to train people at their home as a personal trainer. She doesn't do that anymore. She's managing this incredible gym and loving it. What it's done for her and her life. It created the community that she really wanted. All of her clients are following her to her studio. They don't want the niche, the person who trained them at home. They want her.
Right.
So as her business and things change, and life changes dramatically, suddenly everyone's following you. And that's the difference. It's almost like you do the opposite in almost everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like around, and you want it to be that way too, right? You want there to be change. You don't want to become stagnant, and because that's almost a form of de-evolution.
Yeah,
Become unstuck, but to share yourself and share your frailties and your vulnerabilities as you're going on your path will just make you more relatable, rather than that sort of I'm not a superhuman bulletproof entity that can withstand anything. You may have you'll have maybe, I'm thinking, like a small window of time and a small gap of people that might really see that and respond to it. But in the long run, in the long term, playing the long game, it's not sustainable at all.
Yeah. And how you were sharing about it really narrows it down to a smaller percentage. Yeah, it's very small. Like it's so small, so small, but the people who are there are fully dedicated. Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly. And they're you can actually sell high-end programs to those people because they're getting their money's worth. They're getting the results. They are set up to win. It's not like you've watered down and you're trying to because old sales tactics really go on persuasion, force, manipulation, and you're trying to sell the one thing to all these people who may or may not ever need your services.
Right, exactly.
And then you sell it really cheaply so they'll jump on board, and then you have some really happy people and some okay people and some not so happy people, and it's draining. And do you know how hard it is to show up for people who are not made for your product or service? Fuck that. I would rather not do it at all. It is so hard. It's so tough. It's like the worst slog I've ever experienced. Yeah. And when you're just showing up for people who are really ready, who are benefiting, who are born for your service, like literally their stars align just by meeting you. You are literally filling the gap that they needed right then and there in their life. It is sustaining, energizing. Like I can't tell you the amount of times that I have been tired or ill or, not feeling very well and then jumped on a client call and I'm like, bing, I'm number 5. Like this is unreal. Like you sustain me. I love this. And I know that's not the case for people who are doing the hard slog. And that's why they can't see lots of clients every week. Well, yeah, you can see a certain number because if it's sustaining you, if it's giving you all of the insights and the downloads for your content. And the beautiful thing about what I've discovered through this process of soul-centered sales is it's this incredible experience of flow and discipline and surrender. Like it's all happening and you're always going down a stream, you're in flow, but it's fast, like there's rocks and there's challenges and there's obstacles, but it's scary, but it's also really rewarding. And what tends to happen is something that you do, anything that you do, having a conversation with a client suddenly leads to a really good Facebook Live that gets lots of people wow, you're interested in what you're doing, that then inspires you to write copy for something else, that then creates something else. And you should never have to sit there and think, I've got to come up with some copy.
Yeah, right.
What you're doing creates your copy because you're in flow.
Yeah.
And everything that you do leads to the next thing. It's just this beautiful pathway that you've created for yourself. But it'll stretch your comfort zone. There'll be challenges. You'll be bawling your eyes out in the fetal position for 3 hours every now and then. You'll be like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Oh my God, I'm way over my head. Like all this stuff will happen. It's completely and utterly a part of the process. But there's a lot of flow.
Right.
Yeah.
That flow state is a really, I'd say, joyous thing when you can be in it and everything just flows on from itself into another thing. But sometimes, I think there's a great analogy like the river with the rapids. You have times in both business and life where you'll come up with these rocky bits and then it moves onto like a smoother bit and then it starts more fast flowing. You get twists and turns and all aspects of life are like that. So if we can, I feel like in what I try to do myself is just become like the observer to it all. And I find that helps me to get into that flow state because I don't dwell in what I'm in. Sometimes I can though, like last week when I was talking to you, I was in a couple of days of just dwelling and, why me? All this, it was just bullshit really. But, I learned from it. So that's the most important thing. But how can people, we're talking about getting into that flow state or they might not feel, I guess, ready to, like they know, perhaps they are ready to kickstart their helping others and assisting others, but they're still a little bit, tied back by perhaps it's like insecurity or self-doubt. Like what ways that, I guess you could even answer from your experiences, but like how can people sort of overcome it to what I term get themselves out of the way and stop us in that realm?
This is great. I feel like the first thing is to recognize and acknowledge exactly where you're at because you could be in a very different place to someone else. So I want to explain this first so someone doesn't hear this and go, oh, that's what I need to do. I think, no, let's first recognize where you're at. So I was speaking to a dear friend like just a few weeks ago and her concern was, I just feel I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to start this channel, but it just never feels right. It never feels right. It doesn't feel like it's in flow. It feels like it's force. And I questioned her and I was like, okay, that's the thing about flow is that people confuse it with being passive. And this, I'm only going to do what feels right. And if they're in that place, they're not rushing down this beautiful flowing oxygenated stream. They're kind of in stagnated water. It's in a swamp. And it's going to take a lot of muscle to move that boat around. It's going to feel wrong. Like when you dedicate yourself to waking up at 4 a.m. for 10 days straight or something, that alarm is not flow, right? But when you're up and you're doing your thing and you're like, I'm going to be a billionaire, woo! The billionaire club, and you're all, you've had 3 breakfasts and you've done 3 days worth of work before 9 a.m., all that sort of stuff. You're like, this is flow. Sure. The alarm clock's not. No. So are you in stagnated water? Are you making excuses and pretending that you're not ready? So that's probably the first thing. The other thing is on the other extreme of that pendulum is, when people are really quite active and they're quite forceful and they're like, I have to do this first. And they're really active and they're type A and they're like, I have to have a business plan. I need to know my perfect client. I've got to have a really good marketing name. I can't start my business without a website. So they're all over there and they're doing it, and they've been starting their business for years. Years. And they're like, have you launched? What is it you do? And they're like, we're just dealing with fear on both, but they're at different ends of the spectrum, okay?
Sure.
So recognizing first, like, where are you at? And what is it going to take? So do you need to jump out of your comfort zone and really steer the ship in the other direction? And what's going to be that step? Or do you need to actually go, stop? None of this is important. It's a giant distraction. I just need to put myself out there and be okay with imperfection.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they're 2 very different types of things. Now, usually what I find is people, like, I'm just going to talk about soul business. If this is a normal business and you're listening, I'm sorry, I have no idea and I can't help you. But for like a soul business, it's generally going to attract like coaches and artists and innovators and healers and light workers, earth warriors, speakers, all these different people. Like they're a group, they're a troop. And these people have vivid, memories sometimes, or it's just kind of buried in their DNA of always living on the fringes of society, being that and feeling like a fraud and being punished by churches, possibly being burned at the stake by a witch. And visibility equals death. Visibility equals banishment and all these things. And their ego just does not want them to go there. So it keeps making up distractions, to stop them from doing that. So it's really got nothing to do with business. It's about, like, I don't want to say the word mindset because it's not. It's about letting your body and your cells know that you are safe to be seen. And come on, it's like, it's this year and, you are safe to share and express your truth. And it's really about addressing that part.
Right. Very good point.
You got to move that block out of the way. And I'm running a sales magic mentorship right now. And we're only like 2 weeks in, and someone said yesterday, sales are easy. It's all the shit before. And I'm like, yeah. Once I give you this, like the sales script, it's like learning how to build your website or learning to ride a bike. It's so easy. Sales are easy. It's all the stuff in the way that doesn't let you get to that point. And visibility is one of those things. So taking baby steps to become visible. And I'm going to give you a couple of pointers that you might want to do that. Let's say you run an online business and you have a fair idea of what it is that you want to do, or maybe you don't. Who cares? You just, you just kind of have a few ideas brewing. Just start introducing yourself for who you are. Like, you can change your Instagram and your Facebook bio or whatever, LinkedIn bios, whatever you use, to just say, this is who I am. Like me, I'm a nature lover. I'm an earth custodian. I'm a tree hugger. I believe in aliens. Like, I just introduce yourself to the world as you.
Sure.
And be that. And you don't have to say, this is what I do for a living. Don't worry about what you do. Just get across who you are.
Yeah, just be you.
Yes, just be you. And then people start resonating and liking you, and then maybe do an introductory post like, hey, I've been hiding. I just wanted to introduce myself. Have a photo of you. Hey, this is who I am. When I was young, I always wanted to. This is where I live. This is, this is what my values are. This is what lights me up. And just share and just take these little baby steps to introducing who you are to the world. So you're breaking those little blocks of visibility. So you just realize, it was safe to do that. Come out to the next level. I'm going to be a little bit more cheeky, and, it's all layers.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, starting out isn't necessarily worrying about what you do. It's about expressing who you are. And the reason why that is so important is because I made that mistake. I focused so much on what I did, and it stopped me from getting started. It confused me, frustrated me, and I didn't have a message, and I was told I have to have this niche, and I didn't do anything. And the thing is, you're never going to know what you're going to do until you actually start working with people. Until you start being of service and you have these experiences and you're like, wow, this person these type of people keep coming to me with this same theme, or I keep having to give this same bit of advice. What's going on? And you start noticing these themes and patterns which show you your niche. Your niche is handed to you. And until people know that, they feel blocked. They don't do anything. They don't become visible. Like, I don't have to worry about that because I haven't actually started my business yet. But the thing is, you can be building this incredible tribe and have a huge amount of people following you, that then by the time that your business lands, you have an audience. You have people that already know, like, and trust you. That, like, whatever it is you're doing, yeah, I want that, rather than, you suddenly start your business, you have no audience and you get crickets. And it's really disappointing. And you're like, oh man, nobody wants it. And we take it personally. But actually, who you are enough to build a business. I mean, come on, Instagram has shown us that.
Yeah, exactly right.
You don't have to have anything going for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
You can just share your passions. Like, there's YouTube videos where people just listen to the sound of someone eating, and it's meant to be relaxing.
I didn't know that.
And there's thousands of followers.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying nothing should stop you from creating, a beautiful tribe around you of likes and similar values and passions and showing those parts of you, your humor, your fun, what you're passionate about. And, this builds and builds and builds. So by the time your business is kind of like, okay, I think this is what I know what it is I'm doing, and you go to share it, there's people already interested. There's people curious about you.
Yeah, definitely. I think someone like Tim Ferriss has done that really well. Like, he's built his tribe through his blog, and, he did that first. And then, he released his first book around about the same time. But the things that he's done following on, including the podcast and subsequent books, have all been very successful because of that the people that he had behind him, the people that wanted to learn from him and really follow what he was doing. So I think that's a great point, Julia, is to just show yourself, be yourself, attract your tribe, and then that's a great time to offer what you can offer.
Yeah, certainly. And a lot of people will go from not having a business and nobody knows anything about them. And so think of it from this perspective of everyone else in the online world or offline communities. It doesn't matter whether you're turning up to real events or it's online. I just say a lot of online stuff because most of my clients want to run online businesses. That's just my world. But this applies to everything. But if people don't hear from you at all, and then suddenly you present yourself with a business and you're like, hey, this is what I do. And everyone's like, yay. Well, sort of. A lot of people don't even notice. And then they go to make an offer and they say, oh, come to my event. And everyone's like, who are you? What do you do?
Yeah.
They don't have any experience of you. And when, something that I teach is the 7 essentials of soul-centered selling. It's like a kind of a step process. It's actually, they're technically jumping from 0 to 5, stage 5. They're missing out on all these things in between, which is developing that, bringing out that soul essence of who they are, which is, in marketing terms, their personal branding. Working out who their dream client is and speaking their language and reaching them, then becoming visible and offering value and giving people an experience. So they go, oh, I like him. I like her. You gave me this really good tip. If you're selling essential oils and all you do is flog your essential oils and you never give a tip about how you can use your oils, to actually just have a moment of peace and, to actually use them for something.
Yeah, good point.
And oil-less tips, hey, if you're feeling really overwhelmed by a situation at work, this is what I think this is what I think would work. And you start to give people value. They go try that and go, I love that. I like her. She's got good tips.
Yeah. She's offering me something beyond the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should always be that way. Like, you know, who you are as a person is your business, your sole business. Everything else is a tool belt. I don't care if you're 100% sold on your modality or not. It's just a tool in the bigger scheme of things, which is you.
Sure.
And then there's this whole process of engaging people and creating sales generating activities, whether that's online or in person. Then there's the offer. Then there's the product. What product are you selling? You know, is it a program? Is it a service? Is it an actual physical product? And is that product matching and suited to where your people are at? Is this a no-brainer deal like the offer? Then there's the sales conversation. But there's all these vital steps in between, and people go from having no idea who you are to suddenly they're asking you to buy from them, and you're like, really? No. Thank you.
That's the old school method, isn't it? Where they'd put out a product on it, then they'd either create demand or hope for demand, but there'd be nothing of little value that went alongside that. But you can't do that in 2019. If you're going to be successful with anything you're creating or producing, then you need to have some sort of workaround around what is this, how can people then implement this in this life? Not how it will help them in the short term, but how it will help them in the medium to long term as well.
Absolutely. And it's a really good point you made, because this stuff did work. Yeah, and even still today, if you have millions of dollars, it still can work. But if you don't have millions of dollars to invest in the perfect copy, the perfect marketing and ads galore, then you're going to have to go choose the organic path, the one that actually creates it from within, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the reality. And that doesn't have to be a long process that takes years.
Yeah.
You know, but it always unfolds and you're always refining it. And, you know, I might get really good at knowing what I do and who I am and who my dream client is and sharing lots of tips. And then I've got to revisit that because something has shifted in me.
Right.
And you go back and you kind of just do it layer by layer. And you know, like you diagnose, well, where am I at? Where's the block in my sales pipeline? Why aren't I having the impact I want to have? Why can't I serve more people? I'm feeling stuck. And you go, okay, is it visibility? Is it giving value? Is it, do people know what I do? And then you go back and you expand on that again, and it kind of opens up the flow, because you want an open sales pipeline when you're only reaching, like, you know, 100 millionth of the population.
Yeah, exactly. Good point.
Yeah. It wants to be in flow. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And using the art of reflection to do so is like a really important thing, and not thinking that you or I or whoever has got it all figured out and all answered that. Reflection is an important thing, and being as objective about it as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really feel like just that whole side of surrender that equals flow is you really do need to let your business entity take its own course. It's driving. But your sole business is generally in co-creation with Mother Earth. It's bigger than you. It's way bigger than you. And if you try and control or manipulate how that looks for short term or out of fear or because you think that's the best, it doesn't really it doesn't get to do what it wants to do. So you've really got to be willing to go where it wants to take you. And it's scary. Like when I went the flip from, you know, meditation to sales, I was like, what am I doing? I hate sales. I left that industry. I don't want to go back. I had some tantrums, but I let it be.
It's where you're needed, though, and I think that's a great way to look at it, is from that perspective of like, how can I serve rather than what do I want to do? And then that's where the flow comes from. And I think that's a great way to, just that analogy before, of getting yourself out of the way. It's really like, how can I best be of service? And then once you understand that and truly work with that, then you will get yourself out of the way, because like you said, you'll understand that it is greater than yourself, that it is about the earth, it is about this universe, you know, it's a war of consciousness that, you know, is there and is important to be a part of and to offer the best of ourselves, because the world needs it at the moment.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, like tapping into that co-creation.
Yeah.
With what else is going on, how much that helps you see more of the end game and takes focus off the trivial shit.
Yes.
Stuff that normally really upsets you. Like when you know a longer vision, you're like even I'm loving this soul-centered sales. I have no idea how long it's going to go for. But a pretty strong message came through, just in the last couple of weeks. Well, actually, you're recruiting Earth Warriors through sales training. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, okay, that's really but when I realized, oh, this is what's going to happen with these people and this is what we're actually doing. And the work was around a great remembering and an activation of our very first incarnation on Earth and what we came here to do and completing the cycle. I was just like, I don't care if anything wrong goes wrong in my business right now in this moment, because that's what's going on. And that is my drive, It's just like, oh, wow, in the big scheme of things, it's okay. If someone doesn't want to work with you, it's okay if your website crashes. It's okay if you haven't had a website for a year and you're trying to run a business. Like, really, it's not that big a deal. And you will get glimpses of where you're heading. And the way that those glimpses come through is that you have to have them first to be able to identify and go, oh, that's a kind of glimpse of my future. So I did get a lot of signs that this is what would happen. I ignored them. And now when I get signs, this is where you're going, I'm like, oh, okay, just note it, pop it over there. The seed is planted. And just let go, because you don't have any control.
You certainly do not. And Julia, I think that's a great note to finish on. It's like, you're right. Like it's a deep surrender. If you can do that, then space opens up. That's the best way to describe it. And it allows for joy. So yeah, thank you very much for this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I don't know even how you and I end up connecting. It was through Facebook. I can't remember how.
No idea.
Yeah, but it was obviously for a reason. And I was thinking, as you were talking about, being yourself, like me just being me has obviously attracted you into my life, and I'm very grateful for it because I've learned a lot from what you do. So yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. That is such a beautiful reflection, and the same. And I don't know how we met, but we were meant to meet. And I was only thinking about that today. I'm like, how did we meet?
That's weird.
How did we end up doing a podcast together? And but for me, my reflection of you is that you've always been real. You have kept it real from day one, and I fucking respect that.
I try to,
yeah, and I love it. It's so authentic, and it's a beautiful value, and I think it teaches a lot of people. You have some incredible conversations. You have amazing people that you attract into your show, and all of this is deeply. Whenever you have a conversation, you deeply activate each other, and you remember truths about yourself, and it is just a massive part of the role that you're playing. It's like it's the fast vehicle. It might feel slow sometimes, but in the big scheme of things, you're a steam train.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate it, Julie. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, it's a blessing. We're both very blessed.
Yeah.
All of you say. And how can people find more out about you and your work, and perhaps also your social medias, etc.?
Yeah. So my website is called soulcenteredsales.com. My Facebook page is
underneath.
Yeah, and my Facebook page is the same, and also my personal page. Like, that's where you get to know all of me. So you're like, that's everything. And I share a lot between those. And I'm on Instagram as well as Soul Centered Sales. But yeah, so if you feel like looking at any of those, go for it.
Yeah, awesome.
I want to thank everybody for listening in. And I want to thank you, Adrian, for having me on your show. It's been such an honor, and I've loved chatting with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor for me as well. It's been great to chat. I think this is the first time we've had a proper conversation, and at least in this manner. And I really appreciate it. It's been amazing. And I'll put all the links to how people can find you below. And I'm getting a bit of interference coming to my life now, so it sounds like it might be perfect time. But again, thank you very much also for everyone watching and listening. If you have any questions, please let either Julia or I, and we'll talk to you next time.
See ya.